Howdy folks, I'm Matt, call sign N3NWV, and today we're going to talk about the statistics that are tracked as part of the Parks on the Air program and the awards that you can earn as either a hunter or an activator based on those stats. Let me start by saying this is all predicated on the idea that you are already set up for an account with the Parks on the Air system. If you haven't done that yet, go back and check out the Beginner's Guide to Hunting. That'll walk you through getting set up. Once you're logged in, the statistics information is broadly divided into two categories. First is the group of stats tracked by park. We're not going to spend a lot of time dwelling on this because, frankly, the parks can't win awards. However, it is handy to know that this page is here because it gives you a good searchable interface for all of the parks in a particular entity. What we're interested in are the statistics that apply to us as hunters and activators, and those are all grouped under the My Stats dropdown. Broadly speaking, the way this works is there are three types of QSOs that you might have had. You might have had QSOs where you were the activator, you might have had QSOs where you were the hunter, and you might have had QSOs that were part of a park to park. So all three of those are broken out into their own screens. Let's start by taking a look at the Hunted QSOs page, since hunting is how most people start out in the program. Here you'll find the official record of the QSOs you've had with an activator. This means the activator logged you correctly and submitted their log to the POTA system. And those two caveats are important. Activators have been known to write down the wrong call sign from time to time, or to simply not submit a log for one reason or another. So if you keep your own logs, don't be surprised if your log differs from what you see here. By default, this list is sorted by park number, but all of these column headings are sortable. If you want to see who your very first QSO was, click the arrow next to the QSO date time and sort by that column. Note that this is the complete list of QSOs recorded in the POTA system, not just your uniques. That's why I have 3 for Acadia, 4 for Congaree. Scrolling down to the bottom of the list, you'll see that the QSOs are really the only thing on this page. The other group of statistics we should look at has to do with activations. It's listed under the My Activities, probably should say My Activations menu choice. Like the hunted QSOs, this entire page is devoted to a table that outlines all of the activations for which you have submitted a log to the POTA system. Note again that this is all of the activations, not just the successful ones where you got at least 10 QSOs. The default sort order is again by park designator, and the columns are again clickable. So if I want to know when my first activation was, I can click the date column. Unlike the hunted QSOs though, where one row is one complete record, an activation represents a bunch of QSOs, and so there's a button that will take you to the details for that particular activation. So according to this, my first ever activator QSO was with W8ZST, that's Mike up in Michigan, and I got my first ever park to park on my third QSO as an activator, KB3WAV, that's Carrie, and only the squirrels spend more time in the parks than she does. Now, one thing you've likely noticed in here, and you saw the same thing over on the Hunted QSOs page, is that in the POTA system, QSOs are only classified as voice, data, or CW. Now, in the Intro to Hunting video, we talked about what constitutes a unique POTA QSO, and I told you that different digital modes, different voice modes count as unique QSOs. Single sideband and AM both count as different QSOs, even if it's between the same two people at the same park on the same day, same everything else. And while that's true from a logging and an import process perspective, it's how we decide whether or not to increment the numbers you see here. Once they're in the system, they do get normalized down to just the 3 categories. Speaking of park to parks, that's the third category of QSOs that are broken out on the My Stats menu. Like the other 2 categories, the page is devoted entirely to a table that lists all of your park-to-park QSOs. Finally, for stats at the top of the My Stats menu, there's a summary page. The summary page is divided into activator and hunter sections, with the activator section being first. It starts off with some summaries, some top 3 best kind of list for your activations, and then goes into some details. These are simply roll-ups from the activities page, the most interesting of which, in my opinion, is the QSOs by band. Clearly for me, 40 meters is the winning band, and that makes sense with my setup and my location here in Western PA. 40 tends to land where there are a bunch of people. 20 tends to land in the middle of the Rocky Mountains and the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Below the activation summary is the hunter summary. This leads off telling you how many QSOs you've had per state, province, region, depending on what kind of geography you're talking about. These two are sortable so you can see where you're having the best luck. For me, it's clearly the Carolinas. Below that is where you'll find the list of unique parks which you have hunted, including the QSO total for each park. This too is sorted by park number, so this is the easy place to look if you want to know if that park that's on the new spot is a park you've worked before. I'll remind you yet again, though, that we encourage you to work everyone. Even if you've worked that park before, the activator needs your QSO to get to 10. And all the way down at the bottom of the page is the chart showing your hunter QSOs by both band and mode. Again, no surprise here for me, 40 meters is king, but I will call your attention to the 10 and 2 meter numbers. They're not zero. Don't give up on those higher bands. So now that you know what an official QSO is and how to find out how many of them you have, let's find out what good they are. Let's take a look at the awards in the POTA program. Awards are documented on the parksontheair.com website, and they're broadly divided up into two sets of categories. One is activator awards and the other is hunter awards. Within there, you'll find some designations for what we call standard and advanced awards, as well as some geographic-based ones and some special cases. The standard awards cover your first 75 QSOs as either a hunter or an activator, and they're divided up on a scale that will look familiar to anybody who's ever watched the Olympics or known someone that had a wedding anniversary. You'll earn your bronze award after your first 10 QSOs, all the way up to your sapphire after 75. When you get to 100 QSOs, you jump into the advanced awards category. These are named off of the U.S. Endangered Plant Species list. So at QSO number 100, you earn your Arizona Agave Award. The Argyroxyphium sanguisense, better known as silver sword, it's indigenous to Hawaii, is the highest award that has been given out to date. But there are enough parks in the system to take us well past the Acampe longifolia. Maybe you'll be the guy or gal that makes us invent the next award. Below the QSO-based awards, we get into ones that fall into either the geographic or the special category. The first one listed is the Radar Award, which encourages an activator to activate from multiple locations within a 24-hour period. Note that by definition, these are separate activations and so therefore don't necessarily have to all be on the same UTC day. They do have to be within the same 24 consecutive hours, however. Below Radar is the first award available to both hunters and activators that's different depending on the role you're in. The Late Shift Award is for making QSOs between 000 and 1200 Zulu, which may or may not be late, depending on where you are in the world. Activators earn this award at 10 activations during the prescribed time period. Hunters earn it with 50 QSOs. Under Geographic Awards is where you'll find the POTA version of Worked All States and Worked All References. Be sure and read the fine print here about Worked All States. The District of Columbia is a wild card. Repeat Offender Awards are designed to reward people who activate or hunt parks that they've already worked before. This is a very important concept to reinforce in POTA because we're getting new hunters and new activators all the time. Just because it isn't new to you doesn't mean it's not new for them. So this encourages people to participate even when they're doing a do-over. Beyond this are the special awards. Now there are quite a few of these, so I'm not going to take you through all of them. Go to the website and read up on it yourself. But the basic premise for a special award is that you're doing something a little bit out of the ordinary, not just accumulating standard POTA activity. So they'll be operating at a special time or on a special band. Two notable exceptions to that philosophy. One is the Kilo Award, available to activators who manage to rack up 1,000 QSOs from any one park. And then finally, the Outstanding Operator Award. There's not a specific criteria for this. It's available by nomination only. So how do you know which of these cool awards you've accumulated? Well, they're back here under My Stats, under the Awards Issued menu choice. The awards that you've earned will be shown on this page in batches of 10 by default. There's a page turner down here in the bottom, or you can change the list to show you more at once. As you scroll through the list, you'll see the date when you've earned an award, a description of what that award is, and a hyperlink that will let you click and download a PDF copy of that award. There are additional columns to help clarify certain types of awards. For instance, I have 3 different operator-to-operator awards for having 50 or more QSOs with 3 different people. Those people are listed over here in this column on the right, so I know which one is which. Likewise, some of my seasonal or annual Support Your Parks events are listed along with the season or year to which they apply. There's another choice on the stats menu that gives you some visibility into how close you are to getting that next award. The progress page lumps your statistics into categories that jive with how the awards are assigned. So for instance, the activator activation count and the hunter unique QSO count are single numbers here at the top of the page. As you scroll down, you go through the time-based awards and the geography-based awards. And then finally at the bottom, special cases like repeat offender, six-pack and N1cc, and at the very bottom of the page, park to park and kilo. So there's the nickel tour of POTA stats and awards. If you have questions about this, the best place to go is probably the POTA Facebook group. In the meantime, all that's left to do is get out there and earn them.